before we get to it, I need to do something. I need to tell on my staff. I need to complain about something. You know, they bully me sometimes. I get bullied. Can you believe that? You know why? You know what it is? Well, for using Android phone over iPhone. Apparently, according to them, iPhone is like the pinnacle of the human achievements and inventions, and Android users need prayer. I mean, I don't know why they say iPhone is better, because obviously Android is. I kind of hear a mixed response. Yay, nay, woo, boo, you know. Now, before you completely lose faith in me, or maybe even God, like, oh, I can't believe this guy is using Android. I don't know how I can follow God after this. You know, just kind of all my faith has been in Jesus destroyed now. Just to keep for the record, I am joking, okay? Because I know some people do not get my sense of humor. You know, I remember one time it was Labor Day, and I was preaching, and I was just like kind of saying, oh, it's so funny that on Labor Day you get a day off, you know. And then next day, I get a link with the article about the history of Labor Day, and you know, the origin of this holiday and all those things. And I'm like, sorry, I'm just. Some people say I'm funny, but not for sure, not for that person. So I am joking, okay, kind of. I'm completely fine with whatever you prefer. You can have your preference as long as you don't tell me what I have to like. Okay? Just let's agree on that. But notice what happened when I said that. Some of you kind of smiled, like, this idiot. Some of you kind of got tense. It's like, what is he talking about? How can he say this thing is better than this thing? You know, some of you inside just probably pronounced judgment on me. It's like, oh, he's hopeless. He's just going straight to hell for using this phone over the other one. And that's over the phone. That's just over what kind of phone somebody uses. You know, it doesn't. You probably know this as well. It doesn't take very much to stir emotion in people these days, or sometimes even explosion in people. So let's try this. I have a blitz poll. I'll read out a choice, a question for you. I'll give you two options. What I want you to do is answer out loud. Just say what you choose, okay? Which one is better? Okay, let's start. Don't be afraid. Nobody's gonna look at you weird, hopefully. Just let's do this, okay? Let's try it. Okay. Chocolate or strawberry?
Chocolate. Strawberry. Chocolate.
All right. Ford or Chevy? All right, next one. Maybe we'll agree on this. Beach or the mountains?
The beach.
Truck or SUV? You guys cannot agree on anything. Football or basketball? Okay. This one is going to, for sure, I'm going to get all of you to agree on. Hymns or modern worship?
Modern worship.
Some of you are like, I'm not answering that one. Mask or no mask?
No mask.
Wow. I'm not even going to read the next one. So, well, what I hear is very divided and mixed opinions on things. So, sometimes things get really escalated over preferences. The point of this whole illustration and this questionnaire is this. We're all different. We're all different. We have different tastes, we have different preferences, we have different opinions, and we have different personalities. And then all these people end up in the same church. So no wonder that division in the church is a real thing. Somebody here told me this joke about a man who was stranded on a desert island, spent a few years, then he was found, and the people that found him, he was just showing them around, and they saw the 3 huts that he built, and they said, "Well, what are these?" And he said, "Well, this is my house. This is my house that I live in." I said, "What about that one, that building?" And he goes, "That's the church that I go to." And they said, "Well, what is that building?" And he said, "That's the church that I used to go to." I mean, even being the only church member who found some reason to disagree with whoever, over something, and then go and switch churches. He didn't like something at his old church. We'll laugh. But the division in the church is real. It's a reality. It's a real thing. And sometimes the sad thing is that the world is looking at the church, and you know what they see? Conflict. They see division. If we're not careful, we are going to dismiss it, and we'll just say, "Oh, we're just different," okay? We'll say it's not a big deal. Well, the thing is that right before Jesus was arrested, right before the cross, in the garden, he was praying by himself. His disciples that he invited to pray with him, they fell asleep. He's praying. He's extremely stressed. I mean, before all those things happened, okay? Before he was arrested. I'm sorry. I'm trying to confuse you. Before he gets arrested, he's praying for his disciples. And did you know that Jesus prayed for you personally? Did you know that? Okay, well, let's look at John chapter 17. We'll look at verses 20 through 23. Jesus is praying here, and he says, "My prayer is not for them alone." And for them alone, he's talking about his disciples, the ones, the 12 that followed him. He said, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message." That's us. "I also pray for those who will believe in me through their message." And that's you and I. So Jesus is praying not only for his disciples, but he's also praying for you and I. For all those people who come to faith because of their witness, because of their testimony. So he's praying, I'm praying for all of them, that all of them may be one. "Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us." Notice this. Why? "So that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. Then, when they are brought to the complete unity, the world will know that you sent me and have sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. So Jesus is praying for his disciples, for his believers, for his followers, that they will be one, that they are united. And he says the reason or the consequence of that is that the world, when they see this incredible unity, complete unity, as he says it here, the world will believe in him. So according to Jesus, the unity of Jesus' followers is a testimony to the world. It's their testimony to the world about Jesus. And if you reverse it, kind of turn it around, you can say that the division is basically an evangelism in reverse. Division is the opposite of evangelism. So if we rephrase that, we can say that how we treat each other determines how the world sees him. And what it means for you and I is that we can have the best stuff. We can have the best facilities. We can have the best theology. We can have the best ministries, youth ministry, children's ministry, best small groups, best speakers. We can have everything, you name it. But if the church is divided, the division cancels all those things. It's the evangelism. Division is the evangelism in reverse. And Jesus, when he's praying, he ties this unity to then the world will know. If my followers, if the people if they believe in me, if they're united, if they're in complete unity, then the world will know that you sent me. So Jesus is basically saying that the division affects evangelism. And the most important thing is that division affects people's salvation. You see, when we think about division, we don't think about it in these terms. We just think, well, it's me and him or me and her, and we're just having a fight or fuss about something. But we don't look at it from this standpoint that our division may affect somebody's salvation and eternal life. But that's exactly the connection that Jesus is bringing here. That their unity, when people see that, they will believe in me. And according to Jesus, unity is not just some church growth strategy, but it's an eternal life. It's a salvation issue. You know, Jesus could pray about so many things in his last minutes or hours on this earth. So many things. But he chose to pray about unity of his disciples, of his followers. Why? Because I think he knows that the division is the real thing. If you look, online, one of the things that kind of strikes me is that I see Christians getting online, on YouTube, on social media, and they're just arguing with each other. They're just making podcasts saying, well, I disagree with this person because they're saying this, or I disagree with this person because they're teaching this. I have a totally different understanding and totally different view of this thing. I'm watching this. You could present your views in a different context. You don't have to say, well, I disagree with this, so you guys don't listen to them. Just present what you think. Try to bring your arguments and explain to people why you're thinking that way. It's frustrating to see how Christians fight when they get online. All this wasted time and energy. Guess who likes that the most? Satan. What else can bring him more joy when he sees that Christians, instead of sharing Jesus with the world and being united, seeing them fight and call each other names? Division is a real thing. Division, people get divided over preferences. Well, I prefer this, I prefer that. How do you set a thermostat that would all the 170 people are fine with it? Can you imagine what the church service would be like if everybody would just go on and adjust it according to their liking? Whose opinion do we listen to? I mean, and that's just an illustration of all kinds of preferences that we all have. I mean, it's not strawberry or chocolate, but there are other things. We all have preferences, so we have to, I wish we could choose and do the things that all of you would be happy with. It's just a mission impossible. So we have to go through kind of like the middle. So just a tip, speaking of a thermostat, if you usually get cold, move closer to the front because the air is blowing from there. All right? Just a tip. Move closer to the stage. If you are always hot, just move back. It's a little cooler over there. If you're too cold still, we have blankets in there. You can use the blankets. Please, dress up, layer up. We have to choose something. We have to stay, go with something. So what we try. I know all of you have musical preferences. I know you have songs that you like, and you may be like, oh, why don't we sing this song? Well, we have to choose something. You all have radios in your cars. You all have Spotify's or Apple Music or whatever. You can listen to your favorite music there. We just have to kind of figure out this kind of the happy medium, trying to find that. The point is, we all have our preferences, so we cannot allow our preferences to become the source of division. Because Jesus is praying for something different, and it's not only about us being united and agreeing with each other, it's also about the world that's looking at us. And what do they see? Do they see the complete unity and then they start believing? Or they just see a bunch of people who can't even agree on the little things? I mean, I'm not even going to speak about political views or personal agendas. It's like a lot of people think that the church is for them. Well, it's not. Because the unity of Jesus' followers is a testimony to the world. And division is an evangelism in reverse. So how do we, as so many people, so different people, how do we stay united? There are so many different ways. I just wanted to list give you a few things that you may want to focus on, that maybe strike home with somebody. First thing is we need to remember who the real enemy is. Remember who the real enemy is. Because we, as Jesus' followers, we have only one enemy, and that is Satan. That is Satan, who's working full-time against Jesus, against his kingdom, against his church, and against each and every one of us. Another Christian is not your enemy. We need to remember that. Do not help Satan win by attacking other believers, no matter how much you disagree with them. No friendly fire is allowed. Just imagine soldiers in the trenches getting ready for battle. You will never see them throwing knives and darts at each other, just because they're waiting for the real war to start. Do not attack other Christians, even if they vote differently, even if they post on social media differently, even if they worship differently, even if they think vaccines are good or bad, depending on your opinion on that. They're not your enemy. This should not become the reason you start treating them as your enemy and attack them. Even if they use Android over the phone. I mean, just imagine the army is under attack. But instead of fighting the enemy, people start fighting each other over their different views on, education system, economy, taxes, immigration. Instead of fighting the enemy, they start fighting each other over those things. They may seem very important to you, but the point is you're already lost. In Galatians chapter 5, verse 15, Paul gives this kind of a sobering warning to the Christians in Galatia. He says, if you bite and devour each other, watch out. If you bite and devour each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed. Look at this. Not by Satan, not by some outside force. You will be destroyed by each other. If you bite and devour each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other. What a scenario. What a perspective for the church. We just have to realize that if we fight and kill each other, the enemy doesn't have to. We'll do the job for him. So, remember who the real enemy is. And remember, the second thing is remember why we exist. Remember the mission. We have a common mission. We talked about it last Sunday. We have a mission of Jesus, making Jesus known and preaching Jesus to this world. To make Jesus famous, kind of like the whole point of the series is, and sometimes I wonder how much more the church could have accomplished if it used that time and energy that, if they were sharing Jesus with the world instead of attacking each other. Because the mission never ends. If you want to share Jesus with your neighbor, and that neighbor becomes a Christian, becomes a follower of Jesus, your mission is not over. There are more neighbors. There are people that you work with. There are people that you meet. They're relative. We all have family. And I'm sure that there are people in your family that are not followers of Jesus. Some of them. So the mission is not over. And I know I used that illustration already, but in one of his books, Max Lucado, he says this phrase. I read it one time, long time ago, and it just stuck with me. And the point of his whole chapter was, when fishers don't fish, they fight. When fishers do not accomplish the mission that they're there for, they start fighting. So, if you feel like you have too much time on your hands, go back to the mission, the Great Commission that Jesus gave all of us. So remember the mission. Remember why we exist. Another thing is, choose love over being right. Choose to love over being right. A lot of you are married, and maybe some of you tried doing this, but imagine a couple constantly arguing over being right. Do you think they're going to last long? Do you think if they both are so focused and obsessed about being right, do they think they're going to last long? If they choose being right over loving each other? I don't think so. I don't think they stand a chance of staying together unless they learn to choose to love over being right every time. Romans 15, verse 7 says, accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. Accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you. When we read the word, accept, we kind of tend to think, it's okay. You can come in, but just don't get close to me because you're different. You kind of make me feel weird. You're just poking at your Android phone. We think, it's okay, just don't get close. You're very different. We're not going to, I don't need to embrace you. But that's not exactly what it says. Even though you may think that this word accept means, I'm fine with you, I'm not your enemy. Okay, let's keep it that way. Look at this. Accept one another just as Christ has accepted you. That's the standard. That's the bar. How did Christ accept us? He said, I know you're different. I know you don't deserve me to love you, but come on in here. I'll give you a great big hug and keep loving you. Even when you mess up. Even when you're different. Even when you're weird. Even when you're strange. I'll keep loving you. Accept each other just as Christ has accepted you. One of the meanings for the word accept in Greek is graciously welcome. Graciously welcome each other. There's grace. There's welcome, come here, let me give you a hug and embrace you, and there's grace. I'll treat you the way that you do not deserve, regardless of the differences between us. You know, I can tell you that when I was a young Christian, there were people in my life that loved me, even though I was immature, judgmental, and difficult to love. Some of you may think you're still that way. I will readily accept that. I will admit I'm still the work in progress. But I can tell you that I've changed, and I've changed because of those people. I've changed because I've seen them loving me despite of all my problems and issues. And that's because love changes people. Love is what changes people. Not like... So choose to love over being right. And the last thing I want to share with you is choose to speak life instead of death. Choose to speak life instead of death. In Proverbs 18, verse 21, God says that the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. The tongue has the power of life and death. Every single person in this room has this powerful, super powerful weapon, the tongue. The tongue that has the power of life or death. So, criticism and complaining is a powerful weapon. And some of us do not use it responsibly. It's a super powerful weapon. I just recently saw a research that Barna researched. They questioned people in ministry. And in 2025, they just asked, like every minister they surveyed, they asked them if they seriously considered leaving, dropping out of ministry. And 25% of ministers did seriously consider that. And I know a lot of them did, because a lot of people drop out of ministry. People leave ministry, then join ministry. And I'm pretty sure they didn't, they listed several different reasons, but criticism and complaining was not the only one, but it was in there. They had to deal with complaining and criticism and demands and everything. And I'm not telling you for you to feel sorry about me. I'm not even giving you this information in reference to myself. Just think about this. If people who do this as a job, it's their job, ministry is their work that they do. Think about all the volunteers. They have to deal with the same thing. I mean, if you've ever done anything, you served, you gave your heart and time to something, and then somebody walks in and starts criticizing it and complaining about it, What do you think volunteers do? How do you think it makes them feel? And I know some of you dealt with it here. So choose to speak life over death. Because you can choose. It's up to us. We get to choose if we'll speak love and life into somebody's life, or we'll speak death. So here's the thing. I think that we all, every one of us, has to ask ourselves some uncomfortable questions. If you look back at 2025, if I look at my words, my actions, and my attitude in 2025, have I made New Life more united or more divided? If I look at my words, my actions, and my attitudes in last year, 2025, did New Life become more united or more divided because of me? And the next question is, what is 2026 going to look like? I know we'll make mistakes, but we can still change. We can still choose to love instead of being right. We can still choose to speak life instead of speaking death. Just imagine the church where, not where everyone agrees because everybody is the same. Not the church where everyone agrees on everything, but the church where everyone loves despite of all the differences. And imagine somebody walking in and saying, I don't understand their beliefs, but I cannot deny the love that they have for each other. Because that's what Jesus is talking about in John 17. So I'm pretty confident that each and every one of us, has something that we need to change that will make New Life Church more united. I know each one has something that we can do in some areas where we can change that will make this church more united. So, and I want to encourage you to pay attention and make some decisions and make some changes. Because unity is not just some theological issue to be studied. Jesus died for the church. He gave up his life. His body was pierced with nails, and his blood was shed for the church to be united, the church that he prayed over before he got to experience all that. He died for the church to be one, for the church to have complete unity. So I want to encourage you, not just to pray over it, not to just think about it, but make steps for you to make New Life Church more united and not divided. We're going to, after I pray, we're going to continue our worship. There are some things that people deal with, burdens they carry, and so we have a prayer team that are going to be here during the next song. They're going to be on each side of the stage. So I want to encourage you, if there's something that you need prayed for, I want to encourage you to come to them. They'll pray with you, they'll pray over you, so that you don't have to carry that burden yourself. Okay, today you will not have anything to complain about because I went overtime. So no early dismissal today, but let's pray.